Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we are going to talk all about heart rate zone training. I did make this video a few years ago, but honestly, I feel like I can just do it better now, so we're going to remake it. Specifically, we're going to talk about the overall concept of just cardiovascular training, each heart rate's benefits, and then I'll give you an idea of how you could actually implement it into your own routine. But before we keep on going, if this is your first time here, my name's Justina. I'm a New York City-based personal trainer who loves breaking down complex concepts so you understand not only what it's doing, but how you can implement it into your daily life. So if that sounds good to you, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button, stick around. I am trying really hard to get to 100K by the end of the year, so I would love your help getting there. So without further ado, let's talk about cardio. Cardio, aka cardiovascular training, means exercise for your heart. Your heart is a muscle that needs to be trained or worked out to stay healthy as you age, just like anything else. And the current recommendations are 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity a week or 75 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity a week. So just so we're on the same page of like what moderate versus vigorous means, most of the time moderate is going to encompass zones 2 and 3 of your heart rate zones, and then vigorous is going to be more of those upper levels, so zones 4 and 5. And I'm not gonna lie to you, those numbers like 150 minutes, 75 minutes, they're hard to reach. They're hard for me to reach sometimes, and I do this for a living, so they're difficult for the everyday person. So I would recommend, if you're someone who is like, oh my God, I need to be hitting that and I'm not anywhere close, instead of trying to hit those exact numbers, here's what I would recommend you do first. I would actually just start by looking at the different zones that we talk about today and make sure you're hitting each of those in some way during the week. Are you touching everything a little bit? And if there's something you're not touching, that's the thing at the end of the video today that I want you to start to brainstorm of how you can get involved into your routine. You know, we don't necessarily live in a world that is set up for us to be the healthiest versions of ourselves based on the recommendations that we have. So my job is to help you figure out what you're missing and how you can get a little bit more of it sustainably and still enjoy your life and hopefully stay healthy. So with that, let's start at the bottom with zone 1. Zone 1 is 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. To calculate your max heart rate, you're going to take 220 and subtract your age from it. So for example, mine would be 220 minus 36 because I'm 36 years old. So my approximate max heart rate is 184 beats per minute. Now that is not 100% accurate. And I know for a fact that my Fitbit has tracked higher heart rates than that when I'm in that zone 5, when I'm in my peak. But we also have to remember that that's not 100% accurate either. So take all of these things with a grain of salt and use it as a guesstimate and a guide to see where you're at. But also remember, if you're here, you're probably not an athlete, you're probably general population. So an estimate is probably going to be good enough for most people. Now from here, since we have our max heart rate, we're going to calculate our zone 1 range. So again, this is 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. So for me, that's going to be 92 to 110 beats per minute. Now, zone 1 training is going to be pretty low intensity. This is your warm up. This is your recovery movement. This is a Pilates class. This is you cleaning the house, right? This is not necessarily anything that I find most people need to be specifically adding into their actual workouts because it's not going to improve your cardiovascular health that much, since hopefully we're just naturally getting in during the day. But if we're not, let's talk about implementation. I would look at zone 1 as instead of focusing on I'm doing my zone 1 work, this is your steps. This is just how much you move during the day. We've talked about it a lot before on this channel. The basic recommendation is 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day on average for people. This is where a lot of big studies have shown that the risk of chronic illness plummets in people who take 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day on average. So to implement that, if you're not there, I want you to take the steps that you do for an entire week and take the average of it. Let's say you do that and you're averaging 4,000 steps a day on average. Well, next week, set a goal to hit 5,000 steps a day on average. Once you can do that consistently, I don't care how long it takes, but you've got to build that consistency, then try to add another 1,000 steps a day on average. And then finally getting you up into that recommended guideline. I have a lot of videos on goal setting and how to implement those things, but if you have a specific question about how to get in more steps, you can leave it down in the comments. So let's dive up a little bit into zone 2, which I'm sure we've all heard about. This is going to be 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. So for me, that's going to be 110 to 129 beats per minute. And look, we got a lot of benefits here because I like to make sure people understand that zone 2 is basically your aerobic base. This is the foundation, okay? If you are trying to perform at higher speeds or higher outputs and you don't have a strong foundation, you're not going to be able to very well. It's like going to deadlift 300 pounds when you've never even deadlifted a kettlebell before. That's the best way that I can explain it to you. Or like trying to run a marathon when you haven't run in a year. So anyway, on the internal level, the biggest benefit of zone 2 training is that you're going to increase your capillary density. Capillaries are small blood vessels that transport oxygen throughout your body. So essentially, you're creating the ability to use more oxygen during exercise. While we're doing zone 2 work, we're going to be recruiting mostly slow twitch muscle fibers. These are the ones that are more for endurance. And that makes sense because a lot of times zone 2 work is going to be programmed for 30 plus minutes. It's going to be a little bit longer push since we can sustain that lower heart rate for a longer period of time. Let's talk implementation. We got options here. I mean, I'm sure the big one that we've all heard of is like an incline walk, 12-3-30. You don't have to do it exactly like that. I don't think I could walk on a 12 incline. I would be absolutely miserable, but I've absolutely used incline walks to increase my zone 2 capacity. If you're already super trained, you could probably even take a light jog. I am not quite there yet. You could also do like a circuit of exercises. You can do some swings, some push-ups, some box jumps, literally like anything. And then you just want to like keep an eye on your heart rate, either using the talk test or using a tracker, and just make sure you're resting enough to keep yourself into zone 2. Let's move into zone 3. So this is going to be 70 to 80% of your max heart rate. So for reference, mine is 129 to 147 beats per minute. And there are some fun benefits here in zone 3. So this is going to help you increase your speed and your power. You're also going to increase your lactate threshold, which is basically your body's ability to clear out lactate faster, which helps delay fatigue. And then zone 3 work is also going to help you store more muscle glycogen, aka your body is able to store more energy for later use in your muscles. So because of that, it's actually a great zone to train in if you're trying to hit like a faster race pace. Okay, so for implementation, you're starting to see that for most of these zones, you could nearly do anything. It really just comes down to like the effort and the intensity and the programming and the rest and all of that. But I specifically like to think of zone 3 as like tempo training. So if you've ever trained for a race as a runner, you've probably had to do like a tempo run at some point in your training. And I'm not gonna lie, tempo runs, like they do kind of suck because you're at that uncomfortable pace where like, okay, I can sustain this for like 20, 30 minutes, but it's not comfortable. Like the whole time your brain is just like, get me the fuck out of here. You can also train in zone 3 with cardio machine of your choice, some circuits of different exercises, as long as they're high enough intensity to get the heart rate up there. But again, you do just want to keep an eye on your heart rate to make sure you're training in the zone that you're trying to train in. All right, moving up into zone 4. So this is going to be 80 to 90% of your max heart rate. For reference, mine is going to be 147 to 165 beats per minute. Some benefits here, you're going to improve your VO2 max, aka how much oxygen your body can use during exercise. You're also going to tap into some EPOC, or excess post-oxygen consumption. I'm sure we've all heard of this if we've taken an Orange Theory class. I do have an entire video that talks all about EPOC. It's old, but it holds up. And while it is a real thing, which essentially it's like this afterburn effect, you're going to burn more calories when you're done working out at rest. Was that English? I think we got there. But I just find that like a lot of places, including Orange Theory, kind of exaggerate like how much or how many calories you're going to burn after the fact. For most people, it's going to be like 5%. So let's say you did an Orange Theory class and you burned 400 calories. That means that you're going to burn an extra 20 calories after the workout. That's like an almond. Okay. So I just find that that term gets really misled in terms of like how significant it is. And that's it. Anyway, there's more benefits. Let's talk about them. So zone 4 training is also going to get you much better at your speed endurance. So overall, it's just going to make you be able to stay faster longer. Let's talk implementation. Interval training is a huge one here. Any type of HIIT style workout where you're on for 30 seconds and off for 30 seconds. That's just an example. Honestly, most group fitness classes are probably going to land here. So like an Orange Theory, a Barry's Boot Camp. You can do circuit training. You can do running intervals. Again, you can almost do anything here as long as you get your heart rate up high enough. And let's finish out this breakdown with zone 5, which is going to be 90 to 100% of your max heart rate. So for reference, mine is roughly 165 to 184 beats per minute. Some benefits include improved stamina at your max output. And quite often you're going to build power and strength here. Remember that power training is low rep and zone 5 training is low work time. So that means that this is going to be primarily anaerobic training, and we're going to be recruiting a lot more of our fast twitch muscle fibers. Implementation, you could sprint for 5 to 10 yards. You could push a sled for 5 to 10 yards. You could slam battle ropes if you like that specific torture for, 5 to 10 seconds. Again, you can do anything here, but it needs to be high enough intensity, get your heart rate to max capacity in that short amount of time. All right, so now that we understand what the different zones are, let's talk about how to fit all of this in. Because, this is a shit ton of shit. Pardon my French. but it really is a lot to fit in. So again, if you're not doing anything consistently, or maybe you're not hitting all of these buckets consistently, here's an example of something that's pretty simple in each zone in terms of implementation. So starting with zone 1, we actually already talked about this accidentally. Are you hitting 7 to 1,008 steps a day daily? If not, we already kind of talked about how to build that up, but this is the best way that you can improve your zone 1 capacity, move more throughout your day. This will absolutely take care of all of your zone 1 needs. Moving up into zone 2, maybe you add in an incline treadmill walk after a strength workout, or even on another day. I say after a strength workout only because I know sometimes the struggle is like even getting yourself to the gym. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, if you're already there, like let's finish it out with cardio work and just get on the treadmill. And I don't know, you can like watch you can watch this YouTube video while you're on the treadmill. But also maybe you have a treadmill at home. So maybe you start to build in, okay, when my favorite show releases what day is it? Tuesday. When Below Deck Down Under releases on Tuesdays, I get on my treadmill, I pump up that incline, and I watch Captain Jason. Does anyone else watch Below Deck? If you do, okay, if you watch Below Deck, drop your favorite captain and your favorite chief stew, and I guess just your favorite franchise in general, because those can all be different things, in the comments. Thank you. All right, so for zone 3, again, I'm thinking efficiency here, but maybe like the finisher or the end of your workout is a little zone 3 circuit. You can end your workout with some swings, push-ups, and I don't know, jump squats. Programming here is really going to depend on your current capacity, but maybe it's like 30 seconds in each with no break, and then a 30 to 60 second rest, depending on where your heart rate is. I'm kind of throwing shit at the wall here, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like end your workout with a little bit higher cardio intensity, and that'll take care of your zone 3 work, or at least it'll get you into some zone 3 work. Another option, if you're more of a runner, you can do like a 20-minute tempo run on a day that you're not strength training. Moving up into zone 4, simple, take a group fitness class. I think that's the easiest thing to implement here. Most group fitness classes are going to be more of that interval style training, probably going to get you into a solid amount of zone 4. Again, if you're more of a runner, run a 5K at race pace. Easy. And then finally, zone 5. All right, we're getting into the summer, so if you can, go outside and race some friends in some sprints. We are very lucky in New York. We have some tracks in a lot of our parks here, so we have a great track in Astoria Park in my neighborhood. Maybe I'll grab Kevin and see who sprints faster. Let me know if you want to see that video. I had my notes. Oh, was that in frame the whole time? God damn it. Thought I was being sneaky. You saw I had notes the whole time. Well, that just looks shitty in frame. Okay, anyway, that's the end of the video. If you guys have any questions about cardio and different heart rate zones, let me know. I would say all the stuff where we talked about like the nitty gritty and the benefits, you don't really need to know that. I'm putting that in there in case you're kind of a nerd like me and you like want to know more. But hopefully this video at least showed you how you can start to dip into each bucket throughout your week so that you are a little bit more rounded and your heart's healthier. And as we get older, it stays healthier. That's the goal, right? So again, leave any questions below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I will see you in the next one.